I want to capture this momentous occasion. It is what? 2:38 or whatever the time it is, 2:42. And oh my gosh, when you see this, when you just see this, you know Nathan cooked. Nathan cooked out of his freaking mindset. His mindset is cooked. If this is what it is before I restarted, I like to thank pursuing everything. I like to thank teacher for pressuring me on feeling that I need to check in. It literally is these fundamental moments that I'm like, it's rough, but it's like 50 days in, like in the trenches. For this assignment, I hate it. I hate it so much. But it's one of those things you just have to put yourself in the gutters, bro. And then you see it. You're like, shh, I did it. Wow. Okay, you found this video. I'm gonna be really quick because maybe you're actually interested in my card game. I have to fill out a calendar. That's my daily thing I do. This is called Gatcha on the Go. Notably, a little bit in the beginning, I talk about myself to be like, man, I'm kind of getting brain fog, that type of vibe. But the rest of the video is roaming free about my card game. And if you want to have something in the background just to listen to, because there's not, I'm just explaining my passion. Go ahead. This was me when I was listening to it. Also, notably, this is me editing it. Yes, I'm editing the video right now. Crazy, very meta. But this is me when I was listening to it. Enjoy. The eat to work mindset is tough today. Or I want to work more than eat. I have this choice paralysis in me right now that's like, huh. I went to sleep, yeah, sure. It's 10:10, but I went to sleep at 4-ish. Planned to wake up at 7. Did not. I did not do my edit for my waifu TCG card game. Because life be like that. When you have something more interesting than you have, another internal force happens inside you. That being said, what did I do after? I just did more work. I just like had this inclination to just lock in again to do homework. Then do my passion project, which is kind of weird. But that's the vibe. But I honestly really think it is that drive of that external like force of not letting something down because it's rooted to something that you value is a weird point for you to be like, maybe I should actually do what I need to do. It's a weird motivation. That's what my key takeaway would have been yesterday. And I feel the residuals now. Like, I feel like the eye blinking again. I don't know if you can hear it. That was my eye blinking. I feel dry. My elbows feel like they're ghostly. Like it feels like just this arm is like disjointed with this other arm, and then my knees. I don't know about this. My left knee. My left knee has like a not like a rash, but like just like internal Feeling like I think because I just like then like I go against like the cover and there's like a red bird of some sort, like that type of energy, and then I wake up and I'm like, huh? I don't know. That's me today. I want to work on my. I didn't work on my I need to work on my media ethics assignment. Then I'm going to shout out Amala Periquin. Amala Periquin. She's like my day one. I feel like in any game that's represented with a female and I get to character customize, then who do I default to? I default to my OC Amala Periquin day one. I'm gonna MC a little bit, I guess, of my TCG card game. I wanted to do like a full cool edit about it, but you're just gonna get like a weird demo about it right now. It's not gonna be too much. It's just gonna be like a little introduction. If you like it, thank you. Notably, this is what I had on my Instagram, on my threads that I posted, and here are the cards currently as of now for the TCG. I feel like with this work mindset and just for me with my schedule today, I'm just gonna just do like a rough analysis of this that I would have been more deeper about, but I'm not. Okay, the whole point. What am I doing? Well, I'm gonna also pull out something else. I'm gonna pull out a book. This is also what I wrote in portfolio class while he was lecturing, just about my TCG card game layout stuff. But here's the point. TCGs, trading card games. You know Pokemon, you know Magic and Gathering. But maybe I want to dating sim where you can battle it out with your favorite waifus. It doesn't have to be a waifu. I only thought about a waifu when it was media ethics class and we did the Extraordinaire game. And this wizard needed a game. The prompt was a wizard needed a game in order to work after his job as a FX artist. And notably, we counted him as lonely, so we did a whole dating sim idea, harem idea. We didn't really get into it, but just like naming, like maybe it's like a dating sim, open world card game. And after that, I never really thought about it. That's not when the idea ignited. The idea ignited when I keep getting this ad. Obviously, it's like a weird AI promotional ad, but it's like, you can play with your waifus in this all new top down, what's it called? League of Legends styled game. And I'm like, okay. But then I'm like, I want a TCG card game. Notably, this creator really got me into more in-depth, I think like this year or last year, about like just creating your own game, which is Card Wars. Card Wars is really cool. I love Card Wars personally. But I digress. My game consists of these three pillars: a TCG format, a Gatcha game format where you can like buy pools and the randomization of it without the hassle of using real money. But if you want to put real money into when you play against your friends, you can. It's up to you. And then third is a dating sim. Well, why the dating sim aspect? I don't know. I'm so appealed to it. Then I'm like, why isn't that a thing? Just a card game, roughly. That's why I should say like waifus, because that's the closest thing to me when I think about a dating sim. Cannot be a thing. And I didn't know at the time, before I searched it up like yesterday in the morning. And I'm like, oh, okay, there are some existing examples. I'm not gonna say their names, but here are the two examples that I saw on Reddit that I'm like, oh, okay, these are TCG waifu games. They're not TCG Gacha waifu games. And I want to really make the Gacha aspect a card reality. I think you can. And I think probably someone has done it. But to me, I'm sort of like, I feel like I've hit a landmine of some sort. Okay. And again, it doesn't have to be a waifu. There's also this other card game called Auto Pet something something that used to be like a mobile game. I'll put it here as well. That also helped me like it's still like, yes, okay, I want to make this. I want to make this. So yeah. You first start off with a waifu card. And like I've showed you before, it doesn't have to be this. It can even just be like Amala Periquin. And the cards are going to be smaller. This is prototype 1, notably. And essentially, how you play is that you have how many cards you have of whatever you draw of your favorite character. It's like OC Gatcha game. I use my OCs because it was much easier to instill in my brain to be like, hey, I want this. And I want to worry more about this than that person. And since I knew a lot about my OCs, and especially my female OCs, and also male OCs, but this was pertaining because of the waifu aspect, so I just only drew my female OCs. And I'm like, okay, I know what their skills would be. I just need to figure out the stats of these and if they're balanced or not, and also the type they would be representing. Essentially, the card has a layout like this. They have the name, they have the type of title they are, so this is Anomaly Girl. AFF is affinity. Affinity works backwards. If we refer back to the image, I'm kidding, I'm not gonna do that myself, that's kind of lame. I just want to work. Okay. When we refer back to the image about affinity, you want to have, no, that's a tech. You want to have a lower affinity because it's all based around a d20 dice roll. And when I kept rolling the dice, it was sort of like, it's better to have a lower value than a higher value. Or in the randomization course, it's usually a lower to mid value than a higher value you get. So the higher value would be the stubborn, the waifu card being stubborn and more like reclusive and closed off about your decisions. But essentially, let's say it's not a 3v3. In the standard game that I'm making, it's a 3v3, but for this example, I'm just going to do a 1v1. It can work either or. The whole game ends when the last waifu is standing on either side of the board, or it's like whoever's waifu's on the side of the board loses, then the other person wins. I have not gotten to the point where it's like you can keep playing cards, or maybe I make an event card that says like a discard waifu can come back on the board. I don't know. I just riffed right there. That could be a new card. Essentially, let's say we have Amala Periquin, who is a Lovecraftian girl and my favorite girl that I've made for a while as an artist, versus, I just picked off the top of the card, Shelby Vore. Shelby Vore is a primitive woman who has these almost like Black Panther-like abilities, but it's from like the primordial age, so she's able to like wield like these types of like skeleton like dinosaur skulls, and it's sort of like Beast Boy's power where she can innately gain that strength and abilities of that said character. It doesn't have to go prehistorically, it could be like just from dead creatures like bones and skulls, just like wearing them like around like teeth, like shark, and you can swim underwater. Very cool. Yeah, I like creating abilities for people. Anyhow, they are facing off. You draw these two cards. I'm just going to talk about the cards themselves first before however the gameplay is like. So I'm going to pause here. So after you get these two cards, this is your card and this is your opponent's card, and they're facing this way, obviously. What do? Well, you have a few options. You have a shared deck with you that you're going to share with your opponent. And these are the cards. So let's say you have a clove. There's labels usually here, but for these specific ones that are personal to the characters, I didn't really draw them. So Affinity 1. This is how you are going to get them to work out for you in your favor if you want to use them to fight. And this is why I think this is a really smooth mechanic to me, at least, that I'm doing. So let's say you have Amala Periquin on your side, right? And you draw this card. Or before you draw cards, you roll a d20. And let's say you get a 3, and her affinity is a 2. So immediately, she would help you. She's gonna help you. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm totally down, because your affinity is more stronger and more stubborn to be like, hey man, let's get it. And she's more easygoing. It's like you're an extrovert playing against with an introvert right here. And she's like, oh, okay, sure, I got you. Easygoing. If it was a lower, if you had rolled the dice and then you had a 1, like a nat 1 against like a 2, she's not gonna help you. She's gonna be like, okay, I don't want to fight this round. That's what the affinity bar is, and I find really fascinating and really cool about it, because I also want to limit the idea of having to keep track of like little like tokens along the way. But with the Gatcha mechanic, I think I have some form of ability. In the next iteration, I want it so that for each end of the turn, sort of like Cards and Castles that I played. I don't know if you played that before. And essentially, when you finish a turn, it's sort of like the amount of coins or deposits that you have at the turn goes into your main thing. So let's say if you had a Amala Periquin and she has like a different type of star or mana. I noted it in my little book here because I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Right here, the mana bar. She could be like a tier 3, sort of like Yu-Gi-Oh, where they have like the little bars at the top. This is where you get like your resources for time. And if that's the case, then you get it into your thing. And let's say you had like 3 mana and she survived, then you can pull from the deck of the shared deck to be like, okay, what do I want to spend my amount on? And this can be like written on like a whiteboard, just like keeping track of numbers. You're like, okay, I want to draw from this pile, because you get to like pick which one you need and want, and that could be very dicey, that could be not very dicey, who knows. So I might take away, initially I had like you get to draw 5-ish cards or something, but I think what I want to do is like separate the deck, like split the deck a little bit and then work your way through that. But otherwise, affinity. If you attach this card to this character's, then you get -1 affinity. So she's a nat 1. She literally is like, okay, I would do whatever you're gonna do, anything higher than a 1 if you roll better. And you get a bonus if she is a magic person. So she's practically at 0. She's like in favor. She really loves this GIF. That's the idea. So then she's like, oh my gosh, thank you. I kind of like you. And it's like, ah, okay. Not that type of weird. But in that sense of like the dating sim, if you know what dating sims are, where you're like, you have to provide whatever person that is in the dating sim like a gift of some sort. This is the aspect of the gift where it's like when you attach it to this card, they're more likely than not to like war with you and want to battle it out against the other waifus. You know, you gotta convince them. And then the smoke pipe is also part of like her utility. And essentially this one has like +1 attack. So when you attach this card with her bonus, so she has 2. So let's say, that's a bad example. Let me pull up another one. Jade Conway, my first OC, where she used a Scythe Umbrella. That's her whole stick. If she had this card drawn with her, you can attach this card to her, but she doesn't gain the bonus of 2. She only gets the +1 attack. So on her attack, it's 6, so she gets 7 attack. If it was a Amala Periquin, or even Shelby Vore, times 2, it would be 2. So she would have 10 attack. So this card, honestly, is a very formidable card if you keep playing with her. And especially her skill is that if a fallen waifu or just any other card that's like unplayed as a character card, I call them character cards. So default, I'm just gonna call them character cards, then waifu cards, exists when on death, then their base additional attack is added to their attack, which is like, what? So it's even more crazy because she's like, that shows like that power skill of like, okay, I love my scarf and you're cool things. I'm gonna help you with my ability. My ability, if someone is out, then you can take them out. If it was a 3v3, let's say if it was with Jade Conway, Amala Periquin, Shelby Vore versus Ariel Santos, who is a Saber user or a Force user that I made for the May the 4th. That's an OC. And they're battling out. Does one waifu attack the other waifu only? No. Multiple waifus can attack the other waifu on your turn. So all two waifus can target one waifu. All two waifus can target both these waifus, but it has to be like one individual. So Amala Periquin can only attack Ariel Santos, and Jade Conway can only attack Shelby Vore, but Amala Periquin and Jade Conway can attack Shelby Vore and not is it? I'm slowly forgetting. Ariel Santos. There's also defense modes. So in defense mode, you have their affinity as their defense. So you gotta beat their affinity in order to actually attack them. So if you roll an 8, it's like, I want to attack Ariel Santos, but she's in defense. So you have to get a better than 8, and you got to get better than 9. And if you get an 8, then that's when you can't attack her. She's like in defense mode. So like she's caught, she like knows. She's like, hey, you're going to attack me? I'm not going to let that happen. Or if you get higher than a 9 or get 9, that's when you are able to attack her with your initial, with the values on the cards here to be like, okay, if I had, their attacks together is 14 without anything, and her health is 15, so she would drop to 1. Like, whoa, crazy. But that's essentially, that's the cool part. So you have like unique cards that are situated with my OCs. That's why I'm like, I don't want to think too much about like any other types of skills or like items. Like I know these items and what they would be like, so that's why I have those. So you have those. And then you have the food items. What I did is I just looked up in ChatGPT about like what are favorite female food items and whatnot, because I don't want to do like the generic like waifu food items like a popsicle stick. I did that with like the other cards, like items like what is a gacha present or gift, because I don't play a lot of gacha games, but I like the thematic feel of like a gacha game or like a dating sim game, I mean. So I just looked up, oh my gosh, like a salad, you have a beer, obviously Avima likes a beer, macaroons, donuts, but the format of the card is going to be different. This is the old demo style of the card. The current new style of the card that I want would be like this. Since you can stack them underneath each other and you're able to see the information and then the art above if you want. So essentially it's going to be like this is that, this is that. So you can stack it underneath so you can still read it. Because it's kind of weird if you have to like put it in a pile and then you're like, okay, I don't know which stats I have. I digress. So essentially from this, for example, the donut, it would have the name, some form of art of what it is. That's cool. This focused more on health, and and then just a little description, and then the food thing. So let's say Ariel Santos. Oh my gosh, she needs to eat. Attach it to her, and then she gets 8 health. So that way, she can either save the food and add the additional 8, or when she's in defense, she can use it as an extra amount for her health, not her affinity. That's why specifically it says H here, because it's just for food. So if her affinity is beaten, like 9 and above, then she is in attack mode and can use this health to attach it to it. So it's like 21. So against that 14, it would be subtracted to whatever it is. And it's fine because I think like most of my character cards here can go above and beyond. And then it'll be like the residual amount on here. Because she absorbed the donut. Okay. That's food items. Then you have items. This is also, I just use ChatGPT to see what favorite female things are like. So there's a music record, there's a doodle, and this is more Gatcha related. There's bone armor. Bone armor is supposed to go on the other, go on bone chestplate. That's for Shelby Vore. A handwritten note, a pocket mirror, a jewel, but you get the point. This also just helps lower the affinity. I need to drop these values more because they seem too OP, similar to like Amala. Like everyone just drops immunity to like whatever. So I think for the values I think I have to have less 7s and 8s and more lower like 3 or 2s. Because you're able to stack these items. Don't get me wrong. That's great. But I need the incentive, like if you're gonna actually buy a type of card like that, then you have to put it out. So on and so forth. So that's what those cards do. They just like lower affinity. Just like it's kind of that prize thing. Like, hey, I got you a gift. I got you a jewelry. I got you a music thing. Just like something very random. And it's like, okay. And then they get the present or gift. Maybe in the next third iteration, not the second iteration that I'm in right now, but the third iteration, I would probably show like what they dislike or like if they dislike music, then they're not really gonna be more prone to like the music disc. Like they're probably like something shiny. Then it's like, okay, I practically want more of the jewelry based off the descriptions alone. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe she likes that. Like you won't like the gift. Just like that meta gaming. It's like, okay, sure. I don't know. But that's like too complicated. Like if you don't know the individual, but like just getting them a gift is like I think the simplest form. Then you have supports. I have a character named Marnie Callahan who is a botanist who works with bots that go work with like greenery. So she's like very solar punk. So this is her robot and eco orb bot. I forgot the name of it, but essentially it drops the affinity because it's like, oh, thank you, you got my little bot friend, and then pluses her attack since she's a healer type. And then this one is, I only made 2. And then this one is the parrot dove from my OC. Let me think if I know my OCs. It's not Mari Callahan. Augustus. Eleanor Augustus. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. Eleanor Augustus, who is a pirate nun, who is more like Assassin's Creed like. So her affinity drops to 5, and then her bonus is that her attacks are that. I think I would just keep it that simple. I'm not gonna be like, they're able to see the other person's card. I'm not gonna think about that. I think that would be like event cards, and I'll get into that. So event domain cards are cards on the board, which before I have not played Magic and Gathering, so I thought like landscape or like those type of cards were like causing stuff, but no, that's like mana like residual of like, oh, every time you have a land you can get like this amount of like mana or so on and so forth from a loose description of what it is. But I'm gonna pause here. But essentially, domain cards are what impact the flow of the game. So in like a waifu, that's why I say like waifu or anime, it's like domain expansion, like in Jujutsu Kaisen, where it's like, oh my gosh, we're in another realm of some sort. These are just like major events. So it's like the beach episode. You have the beach where everyone's affinity is lowered on the battlefield by 10 and their attack is lowered by 10. But if you have these types of types, you're not affected by it. So that way, like those in favor, they work. You get the choice to put down a domain card if you want. If you do put it down, the only way to take it out is by placing another domain card. You cannot cancel out a domain, or you cannot like take off a domain unless a card specifies there's no domain card in play anymore, which I might make a card for that as well because I think that would be very useful and valuable. But essentially, like, it's just like, I suck beach, and you put down the beach, and you're like, oh my gosh, no one can really attack unless you're a creative type, a inspiration type, and a tank type. then I'm like, okay, fine. I have actually the Shadow Realm. Everyone's affinity goes to 8. The trust of everyone is more stubborn and whatnot. It's like, this sucks. And to only lower that cost, you would need more item cards, like gift cards, where you're like, I want to give you jewelry, I want to give you this, and so on, so on, so forth. And with that, it's all waifu item foods and discards are discarded. So if there's something attached to the waifu, then it's taken out and like put back in the pile. You're like, ooh, that sucks. But yeah. And then you have the city rooftop, I don't know. And then you have the cafe. The cafe is kind of clutch with health. And you have the shrine yard. I have other ones now. I have like the Cherry Blossom Festival. These are in like my notes app. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I not think about the Cherry Blossom Festival? There is I only thought of the Cherry Blossom Festival, but there's other ones. It's great. So what are the types? That's my question. So the types here are as follows. There is the fighter or the brawler. So a lot of just like fist punching, like hand-to-hand combat. And then you have a healer, which can just obviously heal, or they're very religious in that aspect, that they're able to, is more like a nunnery person. But even in some cases, let's say for example, for Eleanor Augustus, she's only a melee type. She likes to use like a weapon that's like a, like a slashing weapon, and she's not very religious, so I don't really put her that way. And that's why I'm like, I know my OCs more than anyone, so I'm literally like, okay, I don't think she's a pirate and a nun, but she's more like a pirate than a nun. Like she has the beliefs, but she's like, okay, I'm gonna fight. Versus, let's say for 2, hand-to-hand combat, but she's also very mystical, like a mystical arts. Then I'm like, okay, that's great. But against Amala Periquin is just full magic. Like she just uses her Lovecraftian powers to get what she wants. She's not someone who's a physical fighter. She's more of a intelligent fighter. So that's what I have to like think about. So my nose be drippy. It's when I'm talking. I'll be back. We live in the... Okay. Let's go back to these. See, I'm just like, let's go back. That's what I'm like, fighter, healer, melee, range. Range attacks, I just put a gun for now. Because for the character I had for this is Danica Dulce Rizwin, or DDR, who is a party-centric girl who has the abilities of just like someone like Harley Quinn, but like more like preppy, like Poppy. But yeah, I could put a bow here. There's gonna be like artillery person over here, so on and so forth. Magic, you've seen wisdom, and there's a difference from wisdom and intelligence, I think, right here. And I based off of around the idea of like D&D and how they separate wisdom and intelligence. Like you can be very smart, but you won't be like very like wise in how you do things, versus like magic is like very like thought through, but you're not like the smartest tool in the shed. Then you have defense, and defense was kind of weird, so then I put tank, so because you already have some form of defense. And why these character cards are more or less, why do they not have like clothes? Because I just want to get the body shape proportions in, which is very simple. They're not very like outlandish. I think the most outlandish one obviously is I don't know, sometimes you gotta get creative and you're like, whoa, like I can do anatomy, but I'm like, come on Nathan, keep up. You wanna go, okay, I'm not. Anyhow, and then you have creativity, and then you have agility or stealth, so these are more of like the sneaky people. And then, which I can attach, when I was doing this, I was also doing the waifu cards, like character cards, like before, and then I made this. So I'll probably add that to Eleanor Augustus, and then charisma or inspiration is right here, which is like a harp. And then notably the affinity marks where you're like, when you have lower affinity, you're more easygoing, and then at 20, you're more stubborn, and you were just like, okay, whatever. Essentially, I want some form of like card tracker, so it can be like when you have like a waifu. I'm sorry, when you have a waifu on the board, you can keep track of their health and their affinity. I think that would be a really cool thing that you share with like your person, so that way you can keep track of like whose health and whose doesn't have health. And I think that is it. My playtest took me 13 rounds until the last one was standing. So that was good. But that's essentially my game right now for what I wanted to present, and I'll probably present it in a better light after like my second demo. But that is my first devlog of what I did yesterday a little bit. No, I did the day before in the morning, and then I solidified it in that morning of yesterday, and then I didn't work on it because I had other things to work on, and then I wanted to talk about it right now so I don't forget, or not forget, but postpone it to something that's like that. I think what I would learn today is that the things that you really like and enjoy that you want to do and you keep postponing because of like other things that are like in your way to do something, just post something, right? But it's not like it has to be like a perfect thing. I think there is expectations to when you want to post something, which is very valid. And I think you just have to also navigate that part of yourself to be like, is it that important that it needs to be like a polished, like cool Shane Guesses sort of style thing? Like gotcha games. TCGs come from a mile away, but what people don't realize is that what you don't see is the gotcha genre. You know, waifu game. You know, it's like I will be guessing all the waifus. Kidding. But yeah, I weirdly have a ignited passion for this game, so I want to like keep improving on it. And I think from what I've learned from the other two games that exist in the world that are revolving around the type of like waifu TCGs, I think it's because of the aspect that it's a lot of female art, and I would honestly say degenerate, like almost like lolly like art. That's like, oh, it's like anime girl, and then you're like fighting. I think that's why it was seen as like weird and not as trendy as it is, because the one of the TCGs was very interesting where it's like someone from like not Magic, maybe Magic ArenaNet or something, like they worked on the game mechanics of this game, and it's a really good game mechanic, but how it's sold with like the anime like waifu sort of ordeal is kind of like, that's why it's not the same as Pokemon, right? Because Pokemon is just like animals. Or if you have like Magic Gathering has like a mix of male and female counterparts. Like imagine a League of Legends card game. Maybe that's a thing. I feel like that's a Monopoly game. I've not looked it up, but that's the vibe. Anyhow, I personally like card games. I've made a lot of card games in my life. Have I completed most of my card games that I've made? No, I'm going to be honest with that. But I think with each iteration, it goes to what you learn from those things. And then you get dating sim gotcha TCG, where you have to make sure that your affinity with your character cards or waifu cards are at par to your dice rolls. And if they are, then you're able to attack the opposing waifus. If not, then you have to try again with your waifus on your next turn and set up your items, your food, or this type of personal items that you can give them in order, or support in order to gain their trust again, so they're able to like attack with you. And I want to make it so that when you have the card, you are not gonna feel like, hey, that each end of the turn, it's like they sort of forget who you are. But I think I find it fascinating with the affinity mechanic that I want to coin. That's like, it's like my sort of thing, but I could be wrong. Someone else probably could have made it before. But this is what makes this game more unique than most other card games, is that you're trying to. I don't think Auto Pets has that. I think it's more just like a one value thing, but it centralizes this theme of this. So I'm gonna pause here. So I'm gonna do it on another page. You have the Gatcha aspect. Gatcha. What is a Gatcha game? Well, specifically, it's a transactional thing where you can use like accessories or little like stickers. You can have like cool guns. If you think of like Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, Strike Nova. You can have different types of skin alts, so on and so forth, emotes. That's what like the Gacha aspect and appeal is. And there's different types of seasons, and there's things called like banners, in which you can buy from specific things. Like you can buy a specific skin, you can buy a specific gun type or weapon type. It can even be a sword or a book. Like, I don't know, like Genshin Impact or something. I've not played Genshin Impact. And then you can have like food items or accessories depending on, let's say, what's it called? Oh, what's the one game I used to play? It is called, I'll put it on the screen. They have a gotcha system, which is my favorite, where like it has like a little robot, and then you get to sign off whatever it is that you want. I'll find it. But essentially, that's what the gotcha game appeal is, and I kind of like it. But also, it's the bad part about it is the transactional value. It's very much gambling at that point. So gotcha gambling is real. You have like blind boxes pretty much, and it's like coded randomization, RNG, random number generator. So you have that, and then you have the dating sim aspect. And what I'm taking out of the dating sim aspect is the affinity. And affinity here is played differently. Obviously, it's like depending on how likable you are to some capacity. I'm using loosely the definition, but I'll put probably the definition is better over here. Maybe the definition is wrong in how I correlate what affinity is. I'm sorry, but I need to put a word onto something that I would say that it's something else. I will probably change it later if it's wrong. But the dating sim aspect of it is like, cool. I don't know, like when it comes to like an open world game, it doesn't have to be like Pokemon, but just like those types of open world games, and I'm like, man, I kind of like you. I kind of want to date you. Can I give you gifts or what? It's like that type of vibe. Or like in Soul Mask, right? Soul Mask is a really cool game. I like the ability that you can like tell like different characters like to like work on something while you go away, and then you come back and they're like mass producing something. That's awesome. Or like they're like warriors, so they're patrolling around the thing and then they die or something, or they get captured. It's like a lot of cool event things. But what the game doesn't have that I wish it has is the ability to like date other characters. And why is that? Well, it's a tribal game, so I want like to be like, if I was a chieftain and I go rank up to like chieftain rank, even though I'm already chieftain rank, I can marry someone, I can date someone, I can have a child, and then if my character dies, I can go inside the child's soul, because that's the thing in Soul Mask. Okay, Soul Mask is like when you have the mask, you get to control like other people, so it's not too weird. But the aspect of like you get to marry someone, you can have a child with them, and then they grow up, and maybe when they grow up, they grow resentment for you. So they betray you and they join another guild, and then they collect more waifus there, and then they battle out with your kingdom. See, that's just cool. Is that not cool? I don't know. Is that cool? I don't know. I really like it. So the dating aspect is just like the relationship aspect of with your card. So Amala Periquin is 2. She's very easygoing. She's like, whatever, I can tolerate you. I'm gonna keep an open mind about you. Versus this high affinity card, Jeanette Runa, who is more of a tank. She's color guard. She has more health, maybe less attack. Her skill is that if any friendly waifu gets attacked, then she can absorb the attack of that waifu. So when she's in play, if she's in defense mode and you have to roll like a high affinity for her to attack, then it's like, okay. So the defense aspect of the game is very much a gamble as well. It's sort of like if you have a low affinity one like Amala Periquin, and if you roll a 3 when she's in defense mode after your play, then you can attack with her. If you roll lower, like a 1, she stays in defense mode. She doesn't want to attack. Maybe even when she's here, she's prone to attack, because if the opponent's card rolls higher to just attack without the affinity defense, then it's like, okay, you're kind of screwed. So you have to like think about that, which I kind of like about the game. But essentially, her affinity is high. She's very stubborn, and I know she's very stubborn. She's like very like trying to be like cool, like act cool, like, yeah, I do color guard. So what? And you're like, I don't know. I also like her shades. Her shades are awesome. But that relationship aspect of the game, if you have a lot of item cards, and she's like, okay, I'll join you. You're a friend to me, so but whatever. Like just that type of energy, but you could still like, okay, and then when you use them, that's kind of bad to say, but in this card game, when they are in play again, then it's like, it's worth it. It's worth the price of like getting like the items. That's why I want like the feel of it, so on and so forth. And I want the feel of the people who have lower affinity but are more easygoing to be like, yes, they are worth it, but the bigger price is the long term of the relationship, because that's how feeling of the relationships are like. And then you have this TCG aspect. But before I explain the TCG aspect, I want to explain the Gatcha aspect. So like I said before, the one thing that's kind of weird when it comes to like a Gatcha TCG game is how do you calculate the cost of things, right? From my knowledge of only playing Strinova, because Strinova is the only type of Gatcha game I've ever played besides this other game that's more prevalent to like shooting games, is that you have like your main waifu, right? And then in each round, I'm just talking about Strinova, you gain like experience points, or you get like seasonal points, and then you obviously get the transactional points. I'm gonna put this book down, which essentially is like, okay, you have to buy in-app purchases in order to get this type of gem, so on and so forth, which I'm not gonna have in my game, but I would probably mimic it in the way where it's like, if you want to put money down on the market today, I know I can get a good stack of waifus, and then it's like, yeah, then you can. It's up to you, but I'm not incentivizing that. There's a gambling aspect of it, but it's kind of cool. With this, I want the cards to speak for themselves. So if they have, let's say, like the landscape in Magic the Gathering, if they have like 3 tree or something. I'm not playing Magic the Gathering. Let's just say Pokemon. The energy in Pokemon. You have 3 energy cards of whatever type, and it's attached to here. At the end of the turn, you gain 3 if they fought. If they've not fought, or if you're like, they weren't like onto me, they didn't play, they were in defense, then they don't really count. Then you have to just like attack. Maybe I'll change that rule, because I've not added the rule and tested that rule. Essentially, it goes into your mana storage or mana well, and from your mana well or your cost well, which would be like your coins, I'm losing my voice a little bit, then let's say the domain banner, because in Gacha there's like banners and whatnot, you get to choose the types of like banners you want, is like 5 mana, and to draw from one you need 5 mana, or you can trade in 2 item cards, or you can trade in 3 food cards for the cost of this. And I like that type of math, that type of cost. So it's like, okay, I traded my 2 items, I put it in the item deck, and I can draw 1 card, and then it's the beach one. If you want a domain card, it's up to you, but it's risky. And you can trade with your opponent if you want. I'm trying to still think of how that's gonna work, but I do want that aspect of like the trades. It's like, do you have a domain card? It's like Uno, almost like, yes. Do you want it? And maybe you can lie to them. I don't know. Or maybe like the item card here. It's like costs 8 mana or something, which kind of is excessive, but it's like, okay, if you want them on play, then it's like that. Or you have like the food. Like the food is like always 1 mana, so you can always draw more food as a result of whatever you're doing, which maybe can fix cost and also affinity of how things work. And then you have personal item, like the personal item banner, so that you're like, okay, I want this, and you don't know which type of item you get, which is usually the case when you have like types of set of armors. My nose. But yeah, that is my game. To be determined what the title of the game is. I called it Gotcha on the Go. Or yeah, Gotcha on the Go is the pending name. And I like the game, and I want to keep working on the game. And I wanted to make a very like cool edited version of the game and put it like in Figma to show you like, here's my inspiration, here's my song. But I could not. So hopefully in the later weeks, if I have time, I'm able to continue working on my personal project that I want to do with my side hustle of like doing like tech art and whatnot, and so on and so forth. Yay! Also, if you really like it, subscribe. Please. And then if you want more of this, just let me know, because I think this is just like, I think it's a really cool way to play TCGs, and I've not seen it in a way that's sort of like TCGs. Unless I've referenced Smosh, one video of like that I'll just put up here. But yeah, that's what I'm referencing right now, and how like gameplay is like, and how to collect things, and how to do things, and then just getting understanding of like what Gacha games are like, and trying to implement that type of like play style into the drawing aspect of it. And then probably it doesn't have to be, it could be like I draw Miku and you get to draw what Miku's like or something. I do like the aspect that you get to create your own card, which I got from my other card game that I've made before, where it's sort of like a D&T style like card game. And how do I simplify that and add like world cards? So yeah. Okay, next segment.